Welcome back. KVUE and our sister stations across Texas have launched the Tegna Texas Flood Relief Fund. This is to help raise money for flood recovery. Thousands of dollars have already been raised. You can scan the QR code on your screen if you'd like to donate. You can also text the word donate to the number on your screen. That's 4599442. We'll send you a text message with an easy link to use so you can donate. We're partnering with Communities Foundation of Texas to get assistance right where it is needed most.
And we want to continue to help our neighbors here in Texas. That is what we do. Let's take a look right now. If you're waking up, we still have a little over 70 closures across the region as far as main travel goes on our highways here in Austin. You know, typical standard stop and go northbound on I-35. But once again, that is the main story, especially in some of these rural pockets, that it is still very difficult to get around because of debris that is washed in from these waterways. So everyone remain vigilant and stay careful out there.
And a final check at your 7-day forecast. Some showers and storms today. We're drier for Thursday and Friday with isolated storms for the weekend.
Good Wednesday morning. Thanks for being with us here on Daybreak Plus, streaming free on our KVUE Plus app. You can download that free for your television. I'm Brian May.
And I'm Yvonne Nava. We're going to check in with Casey and Hannah in just a bit. But let's talk about the search and rescue efforts continuing here from the flooding. It's entering a 6th day now.
6 days now. Governor Greg Abbott confirming that more than 100 people have died, at least 161 people still missing in Kerr County alone. That's not counting the other counties where people are still unaccounted for. So here's what we know so far as we stand on this Wednesday morning. The Kerr County Sheriff's Department says in that county, 87 people have died, 30 children. In our viewing area, that's the Austin area, the death toll has risen as well. Yesterday, Williamson County officials confirmed a 3rd death in Williamson County. Burnett County reporting 5 deaths related to the flooding. And here in Travis County, officials say that 7 people have been confirmed to have died because of the severe weather last weekend. Christiane Cordero has more now on the ongoing search efforts.
This morning, the race to find those missing in the Texas Hill Country enters its 6th day, with a steeper mountain to climb than originally thought. Officials say more than 170 people are still unaccounted for, more than 3 times higher than previously stated.
We will not stop until every missing person is accounted for.
Texas Governor Abbott believes the surge in the number of people missing is largely due to the holiday weekend, people staying in the area without registering at a camp or a hotel. And several family members, like Thad Hartfield, have taken it upon themselves to join the search efforts.
I'm just doing what a parent would do. Nothing else matters right now than to take this effort to find, my son and these other kids.
His 22-year-old son, Aiden, and a few of his friends and girlfriend were staying in Thad's second home on the 4th of July in Kerr County. And this morning, new questions about why the region wasn't better prepared. Public meeting records show Kerrville discussed installing a flood warning system as early as August 2016. And records obtained by ABC News also show how just 2 days before the flood, state officials signed off on emergency plans for Camp Mystic, where a number of children are still missing. When asked about whether he's placing blame on anyone, Abbott acknowledged an investigation will happen, adding this.
Who's to blame? Know this. That's the word choice of losers. The way winners talk is not to point fingers.
There are also questions about the future of FEMA after President Trump vowed to overhaul or even phase it out entirely. The agency immediately responded to the Texas floods, and Trump has since avoided discussing whether he has changed his plans for FEMA. Homeland Security Secretary Noem, who oversees FEMA, claims the administration is streamlining its response without offering specifics. Christiane Cordero, ABC News, Washington.
We're heading into another day featuring some showers and storms today. Our flood risk is going to be minor. As we saw yesterday, though, we still could see some isolated flood advisories across the area. A nice looking start, though, as we kick off now this Wednesday morning. We had some beautiful sunrises across the area with our sunrise at 6:36. We're currently looking at just a few passing clouds, though we are dry at the moment. We had a couple sprinkles up across the hill country earlier this morning. That's about all the rain that we've seen so far to kick off today. And we will be looking at the return of what will be, again, some showers and storms just as we had yesterday by this afternoon. This morning, though, pretty quiet. Most of us remain dry. That'll be the case as we head into the lunchtime hour as well. Close to about 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, we start to see some showers and storms get going. Much like what we had yesterday, I still think the better potential for those storms will be east of I-35. Models have been indicating that better potential for heavier rain east of I-35 and away from the areas hardest hit by the flooding over this past weekend. Could see some quick downpours producing 1-2 inches of rain for some of the storms, especially along and east of I-35. Hill country, we could still see some showers and storms, but the heaviest of the rain, the juiciest of the atmosphere is really going to be focused eastward, where we could see a couple flood advisories being issued. But again, that flood risk continues to slowly lower. 95 degrees for today. Our chance for showers and storms will be at about a 30% chance. We will continue to watch for some flooding possible today just because of how saturated our soils are. But finally, we've got a nice dry end to the work week for the next couple of days. I'll show you how long that drier weather pattern sticks around coming up.
Thank you so very much, Casey. It's good to hear a little bit of good news, even though we are just kind of inching along here. All right, it is 7:07. Let's take a look across the area. I'm noticing a little bit of a slowdown in the southbound lanes. It's not looking too bad, though, on that airport camera, but it looks like we got a little something developing heading towards DKR Stadium, southbound on I-35, and then, of course, business as usual coming in from Bluff Springs in the northbound lanes on I-35 for anyone heading out to work today. As you can see, that is a familiar sight for us there. And then it looks like once again we've got a little crash mixed in here southbound heading towards DKR. Aside from that, we do still have 70 closures, so I wanted to let you know we were able to get some of those opened up yesterday. I should say TxDOT and road crews and officials were able to do that. And then this incident is northbound on top of some stop and go southbound coming in from that DKR area. Real quick, also just want to mention TxDOT still on scene today, working on FM 1431 for travel for between Lago Vista and Marble Falls, out there trying to fix that bridge.
All right, Hannah, thank you so much. People who live in an RV resort east of Georgetown are now cleaning up from this weekend's flooding.
And the site was evacuated early Saturday morning, and now many homes are lost. Let's go to Brianna Perez in Georgetown this morning. Brianna, what's next for people who live there? And good morning.
Yeah, good morning, Brian, Yvonne. Well, this morning we do see here that the San Gabriel Bridge actually appears to be much calmer than we've seen it in recent days here. We even see people taking advantage here and fishing a little bit. It's still, of course, a very different scene than what we saw just a couple of days ago. One person who lives at the Shady River RV Resort tells me that overflow from this river has now left his family with nothing. Jordan Anderson says that he has been living at this RV park with his family of 4 for 5 years. And while he says this isn't the first time the park has seen flooding, he didn't think conditions would ever get like this. Anderson says his family got an evacuation notice early on Saturday. And after getting his kids to safety, he says he returned to his home that was submerged in water. He said he never thought he would see that, and he calls the feeling surreal.
Pretty numb. I mean, don't have anything else. We all got out with a set of clothes each and some things, but not everything. And even when I went back, I wasn't really thinking of grabbing things. I was trying to get the whole thing out, so everything's gone.
He says there were about 60 lots at the park, and this morning he says that only about half remain. And with no insurance, he says his family is now thinking about their next move, but he does remain hopeful. And of course, Anderson does want to thank the entire community right now for coming out and supporting everybody at the RV park the last couple of days. He says he has started a GoFundMe to help his family get back on their feet for the time being. You can find the link to that on this story on KVUE.com. We're reporting in Georgetown. Brianna Perez, KVUE News.
Brianna, it's just something seeing the video where everybody's just coming out and just kind of rallying together to help out.
And those were those people's homes. You know, they weren't there vacationing and spending a few days there. They lived there.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, no, they say definitely. They say, you know, prices are so expensive in Austin that, you know, a lot of people turn to these RVs and they make them their home. He says he's been living there for 5 years now, and it's always been a beautiful sight for his family to enjoy. And this is the first time that he's seen it so devastating like this. And just to see everybody, you know, getting what they can and leaving, it's just all really heartbreaking.
It really is. Brianna Perez, live for us in Georgetown with yet another heartbreaking story in the aftermath of these flooding. And it's really hard when you juxtapose the thought of what happened over the weekend with the beautiful scenery behind her there and how quickly that changed and then went right back to where it is today.
Right, and that also is a reason why that is the location and why people pick that RV spot, because of just waking up to the sound of the calm waters. I mean, not over the weekend, but that's what they were used to.
Yeah, just heartbreaking. All right, let's take it now to Burnett County. People there trying to figure out what they can save from their flood-damaged homes.
People who live near Hamilton Creek were hit hard. Volunteers from HEB and the American Red Cross visited the area. They passed out meals and helped families sort through debris. All 32 people who lived in the area now need to find new places to stay. Awona Schmidt lives in the neighborhood, and she says she woke up around 4 in the morning on Saturday to find water in Hamilton Creek rising fast.
When I looked out here, I couldn't see anything because all I saw is through the water. And then I looked it up higher and I see the water just like rapids with such a huge current was rushing all there that way. I'm like, oh my God.
I can imagine what she must have been thinking. Property managers are helping people in the Hamilton Creek area find temporary housing. It'll likely take several months to make all the necessary repairs.
Another heartbreaking story here in Marble Falls. Friends and family mourning the death of a 17-year-old, Malaya Hammond. Liz and Matthew Hammond were driving their 3 kids to a Christian summer camp. This was back early Saturday morning. It was dark. Of course, it was pouring rain. And not knowing, they were trying to cross Cow Creek, the bridge there in Leander, not realizing the bridge had been washed away. The van plunged into the floodwaters. Family friends say that Malaya opened the door to the van to get the family out, but she was then swept away by the rushing water. They say Malaya was brave, and they'll remember her that way.
Humanity is faced with so many crises and dramas and fear and doom and gloom, and by coming back together as a people, particularly with our family members, I think that if the Hammond family knew that was happening to some degree in their daughter's name, that would be the greatest gift that they could ask for.
The words of friends of the family there. Malaya's body was found on Monday morning. Friends of the Hammond family organized a fundraiser to try to help with funeral arrangements. They're going to try to help replace the vehicle and the belongings that were washed away as well. We've got a link for you if you'd like to help at KVUE.com.
Well, 7:13 is your time. We're hearing from the family of Lenny McCown, one of 2 young girls from Austin killed in the flooding at Camp Mystic in Kerrville. Both were just 8 years old. This is Mary Stevens. She attended Highland Park Elementary. Lenny was a student at Cassis Elementary. Now, the McCown family released a statement asking for privacy and compassion and saying in part, Lenny was a shining light who filled our lives with indescribable joy.
Students and staff gathering at UT's campus for a candlelight vigil yesterday to honor flood victims. We spoke with a UT senior, Seth Hendricks, who's from Kerrville. He was actually home in Kerrville at the time of the flooding, but his family and he are okay. Shared these photos, though. Look at these photos of some of the damage that he saw where he lives there in Kerrville. Seth says his family did make it through, but much in the community is destroyed. He knew people's lives have been destroyed. Many lost their lives. Still, he says, watching people from around the country show up to give support has given him hope.
What you see there right now is, at the same time, extremely sad and probably the darkest sights that we'll ever see in our home. Simultaneously, we're also seeing the very best of what we can do as a community together and the very best support that the entire nation has offered for us as a community.
Well said. Now, many people at the vigil wore those green ribbons you see there as a symbol you've likely seen in many parts of town today to show support for those who have been affected here. More sad news, an incoming UT student was killed in the flooding, and another future UT student is still missing after Friday's deadly floods in Kerr County. Both of the young women were counselors at Camp Mystic, both from the Houston area. Chloe Childress was killed in the flood. Catherine Ferruzzo has yet to be found. Search crews, they're still out looking.
Well, among the search for survivors are those looking for beloved pets. Austin Pets Alive has rescued more than 150 animals since a severe flooding event. This dog named Superman was found by the group on a pile of debris. Unfortunately, his human didn't survive. According to Austin Pets Alive, Superman is in a temporary home until other family members can claim him and take him.
There's not as many lives saved as you want, but there is these glimmers of hope that keep everybody going.
Austin Pets Alive is in need of fosters to relieve crowding at their shelter. If you can foster a dog or cat, go to Austin Pets Alive website.
A lot of you just want to help any way you can. So here at KVUE and along with our other Tegna, Texas stations, we've created the Texas Flood Relief Fund to raise money for recovery. All you have to do here, we're trying to make it as easy as possible. You just scan that QR code right there on your screen. You can donate straight to that, or you can text the word donate to that number, 459-9442, and we will then send you a text message that contains a link so that you can just donate right from your phone. We're partnering with the Communities Foundation of Texas to get assistance right where it is needed most.
Well, we are continuing our coverage into the man charged for killing 6 people on a shooting spree between Austin and San Antonio. Our partners at The Statesman report state mental hospital officials decided this man here, Shane James Jr., is in fact competent to stand trial. He's set to appear at the Travis County Courthouse for a hearing later this morning. Malia Masamoto is there at that courthouse this morning. Malia, so what's next?
Now that the hospitals made their evaluation, it's going to be up to the judge to decide if James should stand trial. Important to note, though, this is coming after he was initially deemed incompetent to stand trial late last year. Now, James is accused of going on a deadly shooting spree that started in the San Antonio area and ended here in Austin back in December 2023. Now, authorities say he shot and killed his parents, Phyllis James and Shane James Sr., at their home in Bexar County, then drove to Austin and killed 4 other people, including Emmanuel Papa, Sabrina Rahman, and Catherine and Lauren Short. During this shooting spree, he also allegedly injured an AISD and APD police officer, as well as a cyclist. Now, according to an arrest affidavit, James' siblings have told authorities that he has a history of mental illnesses, including schizophrenia, after being discharged from the Army in 2015. Now, this hearing is set for just after 9 this morning, so we'll be in the courtroom and making sure that we'll update you as soon as we find out more information on this case. Reporting live from the Travis County Courthouse, Malia Masamoto, KVUE News.
All right, Malia, thank you for that update. The president of the Austin Firefighters Association has publicly criticized how APD Fire Chief Joel Baker handled resources as Kerr County was experiencing deadly flooding back early Friday morning. The union's president claims that Chief Baker put out a message telling firefighters with AFD to not deploy and to not ask to deploy to help out in Kerr County. The union's president says there was enough staffing at AFD to send a large group to Kerr County without depleting local resources.
We have a lot of great boat crews in the state of Texas. Austin, Texas has the best boat crews in the state, if not the nation. We explicitly trained with San Antonio for response to the hill country because it's in our backyard. So we have the resources, we have the training, we have the personnel, we are absolutely geared to doing in that area of work. And we refuse to go because of a standing order. Do not even ask.
Chief Baker sent us a statement back on Monday writing AFD did deploy some resources, including 3 rescue swimmers. Chief Baker also said that he was prioritizing having sufficient resources here in the Austin area given the risk for local flooding. Austin City Manager T.C. Broadnax also issued a statement writing he was disappointed the union is making these allegations and considering a no confidence vote this soon after the flooding. He wrote in part, quote, "I continue to have confidence in Chief Baker and remain committed to listening and working with both the chief and the Fire Association to ensure that the Austin Fire Department is able to continue supporting our neighbors while protecting our local community." End quote.
Well, 7:20 is your time. Thanks again for watching Daybreak Plus. For now, we're going to take a quick break. We've got another weather and traffic update for you for our TV audience, and we'll be back here for more local news on KVUE Plus.
We'll see you in a few minutes.
Good Wednesday morning, Central Texas. I hope y'all are hanging in there. We are with you once again every step of the way as we continue to try to recover throughout our community. Let's take a current look at the roads. Here's a familiar sight for you. A little bit of the slowdown there in Bluff Springs. Looking pretty good on that upper deck heading into Central Austin today. I noticed a little crash earlier that is cleared out at Airport. As you can see, once again, just patches of stop and go in the northbound lanes on I-35. I will say, though, we still have 70 closures across the region today as we are still in full cleanup mode and a lot of debris that is washed up from our waterways. TxDOT will remain on scene at FM 1431 to repair that bridge that washed away, and unfortunately that young lady that passed away out there. They're going to be working on that bridge, and we will give you the green light for my friends in Lago Vista and Marble Falls. I know it's been tough. They were also on scene working on these county roads out in Mason County yesterday, and closer to home in the Austin Metro, still seeing some impacts. But in Georgetown, they opened up that bridge on Austin Ave. Jonah, y'all still have a closure there. Casey, what do we have for our forecast today?
Oh, we are currently off to a drier start. We've had a couple showers up across the hill country so far to kick off the day, and we will see the return of some showers and storms later this afternoon. The chance is likely going to stay mainly east of I-35, just as we saw yesterday. I think today featuring a little bit of a higher chance to see a couple of those out across the hill country, but the heaviest of the rain likely going to be for eastern areas, where they could be looking at a couple flood advisories still issued as we saw yesterday. Highs around 95 degrees for this afternoon. We'll be looking at what should be a dry day of conditions for Thursday. Saharan dust moving back in overhead that lingers through your Friday. Isolated storm chances return for Saturday and Sunday. It does look like for early next week, though, we're heading into another slightly drier weather pattern.
Well, welcome back to Daybreak Plus, streaming free on your TV. I'm Yvonne Nava.
And I'm Brian Mays. Thanks so much for being with us here this morning.
We are continuing our coverage of the deadly flooding across central Texas. Search and rescue efforts from floodings, well, they continue for a 6th day now.
They've done a lot of work, and there's still a lot of work left to do. Texas Governor Greg Abbott confirming more than 100 people have died, at least 161 people still missing. That's in Kerr County alone, which is where Kerrville is. Here's what we know so far. The Kerr County Sheriff's Department saying 87 people there in that county were killed in the flooding, 30 of them children. In the viewing area, that's the Austin area, the death toll has also risen. Yesterday, Williamson County officials confirmed a 3rd death in that county. 5 people were killed in Burnett County. Travis County officials tell us that 7 people have died in Travis County. We're also hearing from people who witnessed this devastating flooding in Kerr County and here in the Austin area as well.
And joining us now, we have David Fry. David, you were vacationing with your family in Kerr County when the storms hit and the flood waters began to rise. Tell us more about maybe the first signs that you knew something was definitely wrong. Sorry, David, we can't hear you. By any chance, are you on mute?
My apologies.
That's okay.
No problem.
No problem at all.
So Thursday we had arrived at the River Inn, as is our annual tradition. We arrived there around 6 or 6:30. There had been light intermittent showers throughout the day that we had traveled through as we went through the hill country moving out towards Kerr County. But that evening, around 12 a.m. or so, the rains definitely picked up, started to intensify, as did the electrical activity. Yeah, I sat outside and really just watched that weather roll in. And by about 2 a.m., we noticed that the waters were starting to crest the banks. Not uncommon for that area, obviously. It's called Flood Alley for a reason. In years past, we have seen that watermark move up maybe 5 or 6 feet outside the banks, but certainly nothing like this. And again, by 2:45, the management there at the River Inn had made the decision, hey, it is time for us to go start getting folks up and getting them out of here as quickly as possible. So at that point, again, we started going through room by room, banging on doors, making sure that people were up and ideally had as much notice as possible to seek refuge higher ground.
So walk us through what happened. Once you do that, you're going to get people awake and alert. Then what happened? Did you all have somewhere safe you could go after that?
Safe is a very, very relative term in this instance. Again, at that point, it really was just a mass exodus. We started moving back to the parking lot at the rear of the building, really the point furthest away from the riverbanks and floodwaters. Initially, our plan had been to move out of the parking lot. There's really only one road in or out, and there is one access point to move to higher ground. Unfortunately, at the time that we made the departure, the waters were rising so fast that turnoff was cut off. We could not make it any higher. So at that point, a lot of us had to just sit at the highest point in the road, which is the highest point away from the water on either side. We sat in those cars for about 45 minutes and watched that water steadily rise, creep closer to the edge of the road. As the water began to fill up on the road, we again had to just make a decision. It's time to go now. So people started exiting their vehicles, really looking for any place to go. I was in a vehicle with one of my sons, as well as his girlfriend. My wife and my other children were about 150 yards in front of us on the road. And so, again, when we did make that snap decision to go, I sent the older 2 kids in search of higher ground and had to move forward to get my spouse and my young child. At that point, again, it's really just carnage and chaos all around you. You're looking to see where are other people going? Is there anybody that needs help? And really, really just a helpless feeling in that regard. But again, we were able to make it back down the road, back to the River Inn. There is a building immediately at the entrance. There were a handful of residents and guests that were able to get access to that second floor apartment prior to the waters rising. At the point that we got back, the waters were too high for us to access the stairwell to get anybody to that front door. At that point, one of my wife's cousins, David Lane, and David, thank you very much, started shouting us from the rooftop. He had made it out through a window and gained access to the roof. At that point, myself and a few other people, big shout out to Scott, the general manager there at the River Inn. He was absolutely crucial in this. But we did begin to just boost people up, lift them onto the roof, try to get people out of harm's way as quickly as possible.
David, I can't even imagine just the adrenaline pumping. And as a parent, even when I'm panicking, I don't want my kids to know that I'm panicking. How are you able to kind of keep your composure and kind of let them know everything's going to be okay? But I know you internally were probably thinking all these different kinds of things as all this was transpiring.
That's correct. So unless you have the dump button ready, I will spare you all what my initial thoughts were. That being said, yeah, I've been in emergent situations in the past. This is the first time that it has ever affected or potentially impacted my family directly. And so when that happens, yeah, it definitely changes the calculus and the personal dynamics. So there is that initial sense of terror. And to your point, Yvonne, in those situations, it is crucial to maintain your composure, right? To fake it till you make it, to give the people around you a sense of well-being and confidence, to not add to the chaos.
Yeah.
You mentioned the term flood alley, which we've learned a lot about in the last few days. In this region of Texas is prone to seeing flood waters and the rivers rise. At any point, obviously you guys warned each other along the way, but at any point was there an official notice, an official warning, get out now kind of a message from anybody?
So, Brad, certainly appreciate the question, and I think that it is much more nuanced than a lot of people are trying to make it out to be at this point. Yes, that area is subject to flooding. A lot of folks from here in the Central Texas region are familiar with both the nature of the weather patterns that we have, but also the geography and some of the unique challenges. We do have a lot of hills. We've got a ton of waterways out there. The ground itself, right? A lot of caliche. A lot of flint and hard rock. When the water, when the ground gets saturated to a certain point, there's no place for that water to go. And so it is going to go downhill. It is going to head for the lowest spot. And so in those instances, it is crucial that you understand where you're at, that you have a plan, and more than that, you relayed that plan to anybody else that may be involved, that they know what their responsibilities are in the event of emergency, that they know where you're going to meet up. So please, if you have not done that before, go ahead and get a plan together.
Getting a plan together, I think, is such a good bit of advice. Now, as far as just how quickly the water rose, you mentioned at one point, did you say around 2:45 in the morning? That was when you were getting some word from the management, right? But then you didn't also notice, you said some points you were in the car and then you all were looking at higher ground. So like from beginning to where it ended, how long are we talking about in terms of length of time?
Well, again, to address that as well as the previous question, we did not have any official notice, and that is due by and large to the geography of the area and lack of cell coverage. Now, that being said, within a matter of about 15 to 20 minutes, the water had moved probably 30 to 40 yards beyond the banks of the Guadalupe. And at that point, had probably seen 15 or so feet of elevation change. When we finally got out to the road, you were talking about a distance of about 100 yards and closer to 30 feet of elevation change. So when you think about the rate at which the water was rising, if you want a better illustration, go take a glass, take it to your sink, cut that faucet on full force, watch how fast that cup fills up, and realize that was happening at approximately the same rate, but over thousands of acres, millions and millions of square feet. So certainly unlike anything that I've ever seen before.
Finally, again, thanks so much for sharing your story with us. Everybody in your family is okay, I assume. And how did that end? How did you get to the point where you felt, okay, I'm through this horrific event?
So yes, first of all, thank you for asking. Our family is all, intact and doing relatively well. Certainly some minor bumps and bruises, but nothing to be worried about. Also there is, a little bit of just anxiety, nervousness, residual fear, right, that people are processing and dealing with. Nothing on the scale that a lot of the folks of Kerr County and throughout Central Texas have been affected by, but by and large, we are doing well.
David,
with regard to kind of the conclusion of the evening, by about 5 a.m. or so, the rains had stopped completely. The waters themselves receded very quickly. But again, once we had everybody up on the roof, waters had gotten so high at that point in time, there was not any chance for myself or Scott, the general manager, out there to get up to the roof. So we rode out the remainder of the evening with another gentleman and a dog named Scooby sitting on top of a 1-ton truck and just waiting for it to clear to the point that we could get back to our families.
David, this is a vacation that you all plan every year. It's an annual vacation. How many of you were in total were you with the family, and this is something you plan on every year, you look forward to?
That's correct. This is something that my wife's family has done for decades at this point. My wife, her cousins all attended the various youth camps that are out there, so we definitely have some strong ties there. A lot of them served as, counselors there throughout the years, and so that's a tradition that we've continued. Our young son was slated to start out at Camp La Junta this following summer. Obviously a minor inconvenience to us, but it just kind of reflects the destruction of the area and how widespread the devastation has been.
All right, David Fry, thank you so much for your time this morning. We appreciate you sharing your story. We're so glad to hear that your family is okay and you guys made it through that terrible event. But gosh, our thoughts are with you all and that entire area. Thanks so much for being with us here on KVUE Plus this morning.
Brian Yvonne, thank you.
Thank you.
Absolutely. What a story. Wow.
What a story.
It's hard to even imagine the thought process when that happens.
Yeah. And to keep your composure that whole time and just say, okay, let's just focus.
I know it.
Not panic.
Wow.
Yeah.
What a story.
Yeah, just incredible. I mean, and yeah, his analogy with the water in the cup, that's exactly right, especially when you consider the fact that a lot of us, especially down the hill country, have been dealing with ongoing drought. We had those loose soils and, of course, the very porous riverbeds, things that limestone, that really just makes for that fast rushing stream of water, causing for, unfortunately, what was that deadly flash flooding when we had all of that heavy, heavy rain. Out the door right now, we are currently dry, and we will stay pretty dry as we head into the remainder this morning. We've had just a couple sprinkles up across the hill country. Most of us, though, we won't see any rain until this afternoon, where yes, we will see the return of some showers and storms. Now, the good thing is I think today going to be featuring kind of our last day of these spotty showers and storms before we start to head into what will be at least a couple of what should be completely dry days Thursday and Friday, and boy, do we need that. Weather set up across the state. We've got showers moving in across the San Angelo area. Actually currently have a flash flood warning there at the moment. Additional showers tracking in from the coast. We've got kind of a couple features working together here. One that's to the north of us, moisture coming in to the south. These eventually will be kind of combining and meeting in the middle to produce what will be a chance for some spotty showers and storms here across central Texas again today. Now, we had some rain yesterday, not rain that we need, but at least we had it focused away from the hardest hit areas when it came to the catastrophic rain and the devastating flooding that we had. The focus yesterday was really across the coastal plains where they can still take some additional rain, where we had some additional amounts between 1, 2, even 3 inches of radar estimated totals. Today, I think we're still going to be looking at the highest potential for some heavier downpours farther east. That's where we have most of the moisture available to really pop up some of these showers and storms. Hill country, it's still going to be a possibility of seeing some showers and storms today, but better chances overall, likely going to be focused a little bit farther off to the east. As we take a look out across Lake Travis, a cloudy sky. You can see the sometimes islands continue to shrink and shrink as we have seen our water levels rise day after day. The elevation now at Lake Travis and now puts it at 68% full. It is still around 21 feet full, 21 feet from being full, but boy, have those lake levels certainly risen over the past few days. Now we've seen what has been a total of 21 feet rise and could see an additional couple of feet or so as water continues to work its way down through the system. Middle 70s, Austin Airport, Camp Mabry at 74 degrees. Again, there's a look out across Lake Travis with that cloudy sky that could be squeezing out a couple sprinkles across the area this morning, but our better chances for showers and storms will arrive for this afternoon. As we get closer to about 3 o'clock, the heating of the day, popping up some of these showers and storms. And again, I think the focus is going to be out across the coastal plains. The colors here, the reds, the pinks, showcasing still what should be some heavy downpours. We still could be picking up a quick inch or two where those downpours develop. Hill country, it'll be a possibility of seeing a couple of those, but better chances overall remain farther off to the east and along I-35. This pretty much paints a picture. Our rainfall forecast takes us into the next 48 hours. Heaviest totals found farther east, so at least that is a little bit of good news. Some even better news is by Thursday and Friday, we should be heading into completely dry forecasts. We will start to see those rain chances bump up for the weekend, but Saharan dust moving in for Thursday. Tomorrow is going to help things out. It'll create for that hazy sky and prevent the rain from falling, with drier conditions even sticking around through Friday. 95 degrees for a forecast high today. We'll continue with the dry conditions Thursday and Friday. Isolated showers and storms for Saturday and Sunday out of the weekend. It doesn't look to be too bad for the weekend right now, but of course we will continue to keep you updated with a mainly dry forecast heading into early next week.
Thank you so very much, KC. I know we usually dread that dust, but it sounds like that's going to be a saving grace in getting this thing dried out, and we love to see that. It is 7:44, and another update for you. We are down to 60 road closures, so every bit of dryness that we get, we're able to reopen things, and of course, these crews are out here working around the clock, so really good to see that. As far as current conditions, still seeing some slowdowns coming in from South Austin through Bluff Springs. No active crashes for this stretch, and we've had a couple things here and there, but everything's clearing out as far as current crashes go. Closures, though, we're talking more about the debris and the bridges across the area that is still, a huge concern, especially in some of these rural pockets that were really hit by the area. TxDOT is going to be out here really throughout the rest of the week working on all of this. Mason County, we got a couple more county roads reopened, but still a significant closure along 377 as y'all are heading out. And I know it has just been kind of tough to get around. As I mentioned, that debris is the biggest concern. That bridge on Austin Ave in Georgetown yesterday reopened. Now in Jonah, we just have a little closure here on 29 at County Road 100 that is still active. And then hoping we can get these two opened up today in Round Rock, Carroll Parkway, County Road 123.
All righty, Hannah, thank you so much for that. For the last 20 years or so, people going through airport security have been required to pull off those shoes and let the dogs out.
No, that's my least favorite thing to do. I think it's so vile. The TSA policy on shoe removal at security checkpoint, it's really coming to an end. Some news for travelers. ABC's Andrew Dimbert has more on the policy change and more security changes that could be on the way. You like to let the dogs out?
Let the dogs out, yes.
New details this morning on why the TSA is ending its shoes off policy at airports nationwide.
I think it surprised a lot of people that this policy has lasted for as long as it has, because there's so much technology and so many different ways to screen people.
Homeland Security saying the policy change is thanks to new scanners and technology, the enforcement of Real ID, and more officers at security checkpoints. A group representing major airlines saying this will go a long way in facilitating smooth, seamless, and secure travel for passengers.
I used to hate taking off my shoes. A lot of times I don't wear socks. Definitely saves a lot of time.
Now some are questioning whether more rules should be relaxed. A New York Post editorial saying, "All hail the end of TSA's idiotic shoe rule. Could toothpaste freedom be next?" Homeland Security says it's now evaluating the rules surrounding liquids and the requirements on removing belts and coats. The agency saying it will test ways to further streamline the screening process.
We will be piloting several different security checkpoints across the nation at different airports that will allow individuals to come in through a security checkpoint and maybe not even have to interact with officers at all. Walk through machines, keep their bag with them, not remove laptops.
The shoes on policy is now in effect, but Homeland Security says TSA PreCheck is still worth the money because it lets you also keep your belt and coat on and keep electronics in your bag. Andrew Dimbert, ABC News, New York.
Pre-check. I don't want to deal with that.
Check.
So what is your Like, what's your garb? Like, what's the ensemble when you're traveling?
I remember a day when people would dress up, to go to the airport.
Yeah.
You put on your best outfit.
Yeah, but you have something. What do you wear? You told me about something. I don't even know what they are.
I wear Hey Dude. They're shoes that you slip your feet in. They're called Hey Dude. They're like $50. They're cloth. They got a rubber bottom.
Okay.
Some people wear them without socks. I'm a guy that wears them with socks. You go to the airport. You can just flip them off. You walk through. You slip them back on.
There we go.
You're at your gate.
Oh.
What do you wear? Like full-on combat boots? What are you wearing in there? You gonna lace those things up?
No, I wear tennis shoes, but like one time I was wearing, I think, like sandals, and I was at the, no offense if you're from Philly, but it was a Philadelphia airport, was not particularly clean.
Oh,
and I just saw like wads of like hairballs like on the floor, and I said, "Are you sure? Are you sure? Can I please keep them on?"
Sandals?
And they made me take the sandals off, and I was dying.
So you had your bear dogs on the floor there.
It was so, I don't know what I was thinking.
A couple of hair bunnies running around.
So gross.
Man.
But other TSA rules that you'd like changed?
None.
That's the only one that matters.
I don't mind. Give me all the security.
Yes,
give me all the scans. You can do it. I'll strip down. You can take a look at anything you want. Just get me safely to where I'm going. I do not care. The shoe thing is kind of annoying.
But Hey Dudes, is there one for females?
Absolutely. I'll send you a link.
Okay, sounds good. Hey.
Cool.
So what would that be?
Hey Dudettes.
Hey Dudettes. There we go. Let's talk about parking. Are you a good parallel parker?
Funny story. No, I'm not.
No, I'm not either. Most of us avoid it. Few of us master it. Now imagine doing or trying to parallel park with a cheering crowd. Oh my gosh, a stopwatch, a cardboard over your rear view camera. I would hate that.
Me too. Portland, Oregon's where it's become an annual tradition there in Portland. Danny New has the story.
It doesn't matter.
Imagine trying to parallel park with an audience.
I like the idea that you guys made parallel parking more stressful.
A few days ago, Daniel and Stephanie here hosted their first ever parallel parking competition outside of Daniel's home in Portland, Oregon.
It's really fun to just sit and watch people and how good or bad they are at it.
And I think that was one of the goals.
Daniel and his husband in the yellow vest there, Casey, live near a restaurant and always find themselves watching folks attempt to parallel park in front of their house. They were also inspired by a similar contest in Pittsburgh. But after posting a couple handmade signs around town, soon dozens of folks were having picnics in their front yard as they watched their fellow Oregonians attempt to land a high score within Stephanie's strict algorithm.
It was decided based on how long your car was versus how much time it took you to get in the spot versus how far from the curb you were.
As you can see, some people came with SUVs. While one less experienced competitor totally nailed it with a smaller red hot rod. Either way, no matter the car size, everyone had to place a piece of cardboard over their rearview camera, including, yes, the little hot rod.
I went a little hot at first. I really turned the corner. I think this is a common mistake people made. They go in a little hot.
Local reporter for Oregon Public Broadcasting, Joni Land here, gave it a whirl, and while Joni did not win, their post picked up thousands of likes on Instagram. One commenter writing, "Next contest idea, merging."
Wow.
After around 50 people competed, Ava here was crowned with the grand prize of a golden Subaru trophy Daniel created. And a few days later, Daniel says he even received a voicemail from the Portland Bureau of Transportation asking if they can all team up together next year.
So I guess it's happening next year.
The Bureau of Transportation seems to think so.
Now, after interviewing many of the contestants, Joni said a lot of them competed because they just felt like they're really good at parallel parking. Am I the only one confused by this? Since when are people confident about parallel parking? I know I'm not. Maybe I'm alone. In New York, for ABC News, I'm Danny New.
Do you all favor, like, if you're going to parallel park a certain way, like I could parallel park, I guess, to the right, but not to the left. I have literally gone,
I think I like,
right?
Right.
I've literally gone back and forth so much that I was like, you know what, forget it. And then I just took off and people were just kind of laughing. They could see me. And I was like, I don't care. I'm so bad at it.
I know, that's the worst is when you've got people waiting for you and the pressure's on and you're just sitting there like,
I feel like people are so impatient now in general in my neighborhood. They all start screaming at each other. It only takes a minute. We can't even sit for 5 minutes and let someone do something now.
Yeah, it's patience. Yeah, you know, when I took my driver's test when I was 16, I failed it.
Did you?
Because I did not pass the parallel parking.
Wow.
I just barely bumped a little flag, and he said, That's it. Pull over.
I can't believe I didn't even have to parallel park.
Oh, man, I was
What?
embarrassed. You didn't have to parallel park?
My aunt owned the driving school.
Oh, then she's like, she gave you a pass.
That's funny.
Okay.
That's
Yvonne's
funny.
technically illegally driving still to this day.
She's like, that's so strange.
She's got a driving test.
Naughty. Oh my God.
That's funny. All right, before we head out, here are 3 things to know on this. What is this? Wednesday? I've lost track. It's Wednesday morning. In just a few hours, a Texas man charged with killing 6 people in Austin and San Antonio set to appear in court today. Investigators say Shane James Jr. shot and killed his parents in Bexar County in December of 2023, then traveled to Austin and killed 4 other people here. Back in April, a judge ordered James to be sent to the hospital to be evaluated after he was initially found incompetent to stand trial. Hospital officials now say he is competent. KVUE will be in the courtroom a little after 9 a.m. We'll have an update at KVUE.com.
Search and rescue efforts from flooding continue for a 6th day now. Governor Greg Abbott confirmed more than 100 people died. At least 161 people are still missing in Kerr County alone. The Kerr County Sheriff's Office says at least 87 people are dead in that county alone, 30 of them children. In our viewing area, the death toll rose. Yesterday, Williamson County officials confirmed a 3rd death in Burnett County. 5 people lost their lives, and Travis County officials confirm 7 people have died.
Meantime, the president of the Austin Firefighters Association publicly criticized how APD Fire Chief Joel Baker handled resources as the Kerr County flooding was happening back on Friday morning. The union's president claims that Chief Baker put out a message telling firefighters to not deploy and to not ask to deploy to Kerr County. The union's president says there was enough staffing at AFD to send a large group to that county without depleting local resources. Chief Baker sent us a statement Monday saying that AFD did deploy some resources, including 3 rescue swimmers. The chief also said he prioritized having sufficient resources here in the Austin area, given the risk for local flooding as well.